Good morning. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. My name is Angela. Welcome. It is Sunday, November 9th. I'm a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. How are you doing? If you were here yesterday, things felt a little chaotic. I think in my own mind, it's always a lot worse than it actually is. I did watch back parts of yesterday's stream and I was like, okay, I think that on the inside I was feeling frantic and frustrated, but remarkably on the outside I was actually holding things together pretty well. So I'm pleased about that. So today we are going to continue working on this header and search. Things got a little messy yesterday, but you know, messy I think is a relative term because things just get messy sometimes. It's just the way that it is, and it's perfectly fine. So I have a plan for how to proceed and continue to get this thing built out in a way that is not frantic and frustrating. Here's the thing. I think I was also just in a bad mood yesterday. I think I legitimately got up on the wrong side of the bed, and that didn't help. Because what I experienced yesterday, which isn't even like an earth-shattering end of the world thing to have happen, but what I experienced yesterday is so normal as a developer that I've gone through it hundreds of times. What was really frustrating me is that I try so hard to be prepared and have my shit together when I'm doing these live streams. I don't like what I perceive as looking stupid when I can't figure something out. And that's just nonsense. You can't code in public and not have these things happen, and I know that. But I've also gotten feedback from people who watch that say that they appreciate seeing another developer go through that. So, you know, here we are. If you appreciate that kind of thing, you're in the right place. So, Malik is here. Hello. Let's have a good day, non-tilting, getting frustrated day today. You know what, though? It would be, I wouldn't be doing, I don't think that, okay, Angela, form your words. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't talk about how I was feeling. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying how you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with getting pissed off and saying that you're mad or frustrated. Those are normal human feelings, and I don't think it's toxic at all to just share how you're feeling, right? That's okay. We're all human beings. Okay. Anyways, where are we? Okay, here we are. We're just trying to build an effing website. So, okay. So here's where we left off yesterday. So if you're back for more, or hey, how about this? If you're new to the channel, welcome and thank you. Do me a favor, hit the like button. It helps me push this out to more people who might be interested in front-end development. We've had a little growth spurt the last couple of months. I am so grateful for all the people who are subscribing to the channel. Oh, this is probably a good time to let people know. Nobody asked, but I'm going to let people know anyways, that I had memberships turned on for about, I don't know, 6 weeks. And I actually turned them off this week because there's a threshold of, they call it public watch time hours that you have to maintain in order to be eligible to turn on memberships. And then there's a second threshold that you have to be able to maintain in order to be able to monetize your channel. I had met the first threshold and I was kind of like teetering on the line, and then I slipped below it. And I got a little love letter from YouTube saying, you better get your views back up or we may turn that off. But they were very vague about like the time frame for me to do that. And I thought, you know what? I was actually pretty stressed out about it for a couple of days. And I thought, what am I so stressed out about? I've got 10 members who are all gifted a membership. And I've got 2 people who actually pay, which is Malik and Emilio. And I thought, I bet if I just let Malik and Emilio know what the situation is, they will be completely understanding, and they were. So I turned off channel memberships, and you know what? Once we are fully monetized and we are well beyond meeting that threshold for monetization and memberships and all of that, I'm going to turn that stuff back on. But for now, that I don't need that stress in my life. It is a pointless thing to worry about and to lose sleep over, and I don't need that nonsense in my life. So I turned them off, and it was like instant relief. So we are just going to move forward, live streaming, making videos. I have so many ideas for videos that I want to make, not just like project videos. I have a whole list of deployment related videos, which I have another video this week coming out, which is the deployment process we did about a week and a half ago, but for Windows and FileZilla and FTP. I have more ideas for like essays. It makes me ill to think about doing like a top 10 list, like kind of the typical developer top 10 design trends of 20. I can't do that. But what I do really like, and what I would like to start doing maybe once or twice a month, is more of like the classic YouTube video essay. And I think there's lots to explore in the dev community to do that type of essay. And a few other people are doing it. So I want to start doing that as well. And honestly, the timing for something like that is really good, because I've never been, until now, I don't think I've ever been confident enough to do stuff like that. And I have the confidence now after 16 months of live streaming to write some essays and record essays. And I really want to do that. So there's that. So that's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know. I don't want this to be a channel about being a YouTuber, but I do on the weekends occasionally like to let people know how things are going. And, I would love to wake up one day and see that I have 10,000 subscribers and I have, surpassed that threshold for monetization, and that would be amazing. But I think that this is going to take a little longer than I thought it would. We're already up to 1,500 subscribers, which I think I'm so thrilled, so happy about. The rest, it takes as long as it takes. It takes as long as it takes. I don't know how long it's going to take. I feel like I have to earn every single subscriber. And if that's the case, then I'll do it. I'm here for it. Because if you had told me 2 years ago that I would be doing this, I would have said, shut the front door. No way. I never 100% would not have ever thought I could have been confident enough to do this. And now this is the most confident I've ever been personally and professionally. And I'm just so ready for it. So for everybody who has subscribed, for everybody who has ever watched a video, liked a video, hung out with me in a live stream, come into my chat, even if you were an asshole and you left me a mean comment or said something snarky in my chat, thank you. Thank you for being here. I need you guys too. I need the assholes too, okay? So there's that. No one is here. Hello, everyone. I will definitely review that book, but I was busy with my master's application process. Well, first of all, congratulations on the master's application process. I know what that's like because I have 2 graduate degrees, so I've been through that a couple of times. And no, you don't need to ever explain yourself on this channel. Unless I demand an explanation, you don't need to explain yourself. No one, we love you. We love having you here. So, and when you're ready to do the review, also, no one, I'm not sure how you're going to do the review via the chat. So if you would like to contact me offline via my email address and like talk about a way to review the book, like I am open to ideas. Like, let's start to play with this format a little bit. You've been in my chat now for several weeks, maybe I think even a few months. And I would love to hear from you if you have some ideas about how you could share your thoughts. So I'm just leaving that door open. Send me an email. Let me know what you're thinking. Or if you just want to come into the chat and leave us some thoughts, that's fine too. Whatever you want, my friend. So, all right, here we go. Italia. I've never been to Italy. I would love to go to Italy. I'm fascinated by Roman history. It's a part of YouTube. Roman history YouTube it will keep you, it's kept me busy for years. So the content is outstanding. Yeah, that none of that actually matters. So we're trying to build this navigation. We're trying to build this navigation. So here's where we got yesterday. We got to the part where we were trying to animate the search, and we're going to do that. We're going to get back to that. But here's the thing. I need an easy win today. So let's switch over to the navigation and let's do the search. We'll finish the search last, and I have an idea for what we need to do to get this search up and running. So let's just deal with the search. Excuse me, navigation. I'm also conflating what we're doing. We're going to deal with the navigation first, and then we are going to conclude by finishing up the search. That's what we're going to do. And no one says, I will email you. Excellent. I would love to hear from you. So, all in your own time, because I know you're busy. I know you're busy, and I want you to get those, I want you to get your graduate applications in. So, fully support higher education for the most part. You don't have to have a degree to make it in the world, but it helps if that's the path that you choose. So, okay, so let's actually style our flyout menu. And then we'll go ahead and write the JavaScript. So I'm going to do menu underscore active. Here's our little flyout menu. Here's our nav right here. It's our CSS. Yeah, I just want to, I'd really like to, regardless of what happens today, I would just like to have a nice, relaxing couple of hours. That's what I would like. So, and so if something goes wrong, we're just gonna roll with it, because I'm not in the mood to be a cranky lady today. I'm just not in the mood. I don't have the energy for it. Okay. So main nav, I'll collapse some of this. So main nav is the UL. That's what we are going to style. So we changed the flex direction to column. We also need to take these bullets off. So let's just copy this. And I think all we need to do is I'm going to take out the bullet, but we're also going to take off this extra padding and margin. And then we'll style these LIs. I'm going to say width, whoopsies, width 100%, text align, center. And then I want these anchor elements, which didn't we give these display inline block? I'm pretty sure we made these display inline block by default. We did. So we can just give those a little padding. So we'll say main nav anchor. And I usually give these a rem of padding so they're nice and juicy, just like that. And then I'm going to say, I'm kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to the way that I style navigation, because I don't know, I just kind of like it. I think it looks good. So you do what works for you. I have learned over the years this is what works for me. So I'm going to say border bottom 2 pixels, solid. Let's use one of our accent colors. Let's just use the tan. And then I could see what that looks like. Oof, no. Oh, and not solid, dotted. I'm just a fan of the dots. That looks better like that, doesn't it? I like it. Yeah, we can hang on to that. What does it look like at 3 pixels? Ooh, I like that better. No, maybe 2. Yeah, we'll go with 2. And then we need a border at the top of this UL, but first let's bring in our menu button display block. So where, I don't see you in here. Where are you? Oh, we did not add our SVG to our markup. Right here. That's why we don't see it. So we need our close outline. And I'm going to take out current color for stroke, but we leave the attribute. That's for styling. And then let's add aria hidden true. There's our button. And Polly Hype is here. What's up, Polly Hype? Thanks for joining us. We are happy to have you. Okay. So our menu button SVGs, right now, these are 3 rems by 3 rems. And this is our global style. What I like to do just for these particular things, well, I think for all of the icons, is I'm going to make these width 2 rems, height, I don't even know if I'm going to make it this big. We'll see how it looks. And then what color do we want to make it? What are our options? And right now, our kind of the primary accent color that I chose was this red color, and I was actually thinking about changing this to blue. We also need to have a hover. Let's do, so the blue works is AAA. The orange is AA. So let's do blue background. You know what we should do? Let's do a blue SVG with a blue border, and then when we hover, so we'll do it exactly like a button, just exactly like this. Yeah. So we'll do, it's a stroke, not a fill. So we'll do a stroke of blue, and then the buttons are going to have a border, 2 pixels solid, also blue, and a background color of transparent. Oh yeah, sorry, Polyhype, I didn't see that. Yes, you are allowed to ask questions. All questions are allowed as long as they are not rude or disrespectful. Just don't be mean to me. I mean, I don't run into that a lot, but you'd be surprised. Of course, ask as many questions as you want. And as soon as I take a break, I want to power through this. As soon as I take a break, I will answer your questions. No problemo. And then we're also going to need a little bit of padding here. So we'll do 0.5 rems. Yeah. And then it is nice to put a little border radius on a button. There we go. I'm starting to think it might be better to do the opposite, that the hover with the outline is better. Which would make this stroke white. Yeah, I do think I like that better. We'll do menu button, focus, hover, and then the stroke on hover would be blue. Oh, no. This is the background color. Whoops. It would be transparent. I'm not thinking correctly today. Now we'll do the hover active focus for this. So when we focus on the button, we trigger the SVG. And then we don't need the width and the height. We just want whatever the state is going to be. So it would be, it would be blue. There we go. Yeah, I can live with that. And then let's add a nice transition. So we'll say transition, background color, oops, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. That's what I like to use. You can use whatever you like. There's lots of different animations, transition, stroke, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. There we go. And you know, let's make sure that our buttons have a pointer. Let's just do that right on the global right here. Pointer events. Oh no. Cursor. Pointer. There we go. And then let's make sure that we give this some margin so it's not hugging the edges but also pushes it over to the right. So right here we'll say, so we're going to go clockwise, top, right, bottom, left. Left will be auto, so it pushes it to the right. So I'm going to say 0.5 rems top, 0.5 rems on the right, 0.5 rems on the bottom, and then auto on the left. And that pushed that over right up against that edge. Now let's make sure that our nav element has a little bit of a box shadow so it's not blending into this background. So let's see here. So on the non-active navigation, we put box shadow none. And the reason that I did that is because if you just apply it, even when it's hidden, you'll see the shadow on the edge. It's subtle, but it's there. And if you are aggressive with your shadows, I'm not super aggressive, but if you're aggressive with your shadow, you will definitely see it. So make sure that you have box shadow none when the navigation is hidden, and that you're only adding the box shadow when the menu is active. And for my box shadow, so it's on the x-axis because the navigation takes up the full height of the screen, so you don't need a box shadow on the y-axis. So we'll do 1 pixel x, 0 y, 1 pixel blur, 1 pixel spread, and then we'll do RGBA, which is 255, 255, 255. That's white for red, green, blue. And then the alpha transparency, we're going to say 10% opacity. Oh, you're killing me. Come on. What's going on here? Box shadow X, Y. Oh, I'm sorry. Not white. We want black. My bad. We want black. You can't see it if it's white. There we go. So there is our box shadow. Now we can put this border at the top of the UL right here. So we're going to say border, top, 2 pixels, dotted, and we'll do tan. There we go. Now, when our menu is open, we want to make sure that the open button isn't showing, because if the menu's open, we don't want a screen reader to be able to come through and access this. So I'm going to say when the menu is active, where is it here? Open button. Open button, visibility, hidden. So I'm not going to do display none because that completely takes it out of the flow. I'm just going to say visibility hidden because it hides it from a screen reader, hides it from the screen, but it still holds that space in the DOM. So now if we take out the menu active class from the body, just like that. Beautiful. Yeah, so I am kind of noticing here. I think I have to make these, normally I make these anchor elements like this entire thing. I make this entire thing hot. Which I can totally do that, but also I think this is still acceptable. I think this is fine. This tab target is obviously plenty big. Yeah, we can leave this. And then if you were to somehow get below 300, that's still nice and squishy. So, all right. The only thing left to do for, well, I shouldn't say that. The only thing left to do for the navigation, the mobile navigation, is the JavaScript. But I do have something else I want to do here quickly, which is that on desktop, we do have some wrapping here with our dots. So the first thing that I want to do is make sure that these LIs are white space no wrap, which means that these dots won't fall below. They won't wrap. But also, this navigation up here, we made the margin and the padding, we clamped it, so it's a little more flexible. I want to copy that for this. So let's do those two things. Let's find it here. So if we go up to our top banner right here, so we're going to do white space, no wrap, but also we're going to change this margin and padding. So we'll just go down here. And then new main nav, li, and we'll say white space, whoops, no wrap. I think that will take care of it. There we go. I mean, it's not that flexible, is it? I think we need to increase. I would like to see this be more flexible because this search is like non-existent. And I mean, unless we need to make sure that we're supporting this, but even at 1024, the search is like non-existent. We gotta get a little more mileage out of it. Yeah, there's like not popping in. Why is this I mean, is it too high? Is that why? Yeah, much better. I I think that we should change our navigation from 960 to 1024. We're going to get a lot more mileage out of it. And then let's update this up here as well. I didn't even really look at that yesterday. I didn't look very close at that at all yesterday. So let's change this to 1. And then let's change our media query. So right now, all of our media queries are 960. We can do 1024. That is just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Let the design. Sometimes the design is the thing that makes the decision on what your media query is. You do not have to have a prescribed media query. Yeah, and that makes that top a lot tighter too, which I mean, in hindsight, I knew it wasn't as tight as I thought it should be yesterday, But now we have a lot more real estate here and our search is still fully available. Ooh, we're off to a good start today. I like it. I like it. All right, so now I'm forced to finish the search, which is just fine. But let's take a break first. Okay. And Polyhype says, I'm just starting my web dev journey and I've been using Frontend Mentor for practice. What are your thoughts on using Frontend Mentor to learn? The site provides designs and you build them. I think Frontend Mentor is excellent. In fact, we did a Frontend Mentor challenge. We did the product cart with list. We did the product cart with list about a year ago, last fall. In fact, I was thinking about doing another front end mentor challenge because they're very popular. And I mean, I can be honest and just say that I am looking for ways to grow my channel and I want to do content that is popular and that people actually want to watch. How much does Front End Mentor even cost? Upgrade now. How much does it cost? $8 a month for a year, $96 billed yearly. I mean, I have to tell you, I'm thinking that I'm going to go ahead, although I can't stream the premium projects. I can stream the free projects. So it's kind of pointless for me to sign up, even though I think this is a bargain. I would happily sign up. Yeah, so maybe I won't sign up for the premium. I'll just stick with the free version because I do think that the challenges are really great. So let's go and look at some of these challenges. Free and free plus. I don't know what free plus is. Yeah, $12 a month or $96 for a year. I mean, I think it's a great deal. And I think these challenges are really, really good. Yeah, and like I said, I was thinking about doing another one of these. This is what we did last year. And it's like some of my most viewed content is this front end mentor challenge. So I think it's excellent for learning front end. And I mean, I can just tell you, as a like fairly experienced front end developer, the type of JavaScript in particular, the kind of like it's like the sort of like object oriented programming ish type stuff that they ask you to do in some of these things. It's spot on for the things that you're going to run into when you actually have a development job. So I think it's great. What is free plus? What does that mean? I don't understand what free plus is. I don't know. I think it's great. So this is exactly the type of stuff that free plus gives you the Figma file. Got it. Yeah, I don't think I care about that because I've never used Figma. So, and I tend to just look at the screenshots in order to do the build. So, yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I think it's great. Definitely do it. I think that Front End Mentor aligns really well with the experience of actually being a front end developer. So this is the type of problem solving that you need to do. I love the fact that they're not telling you to do any particular framework or library. When I do front end mentor challenges, I do everything vanilla. So I really don't use any frameworks or libraries on this channel. One moment. Yeah. So I love it. Good. I think this is a great way to go. I I am so I'm all about the project based learning. So anytime you can work on a project, I think that's really good. I think the best thing about Front End Mentor is that they give you a brief and they tell you what you should be able to do and what the outcome should be. I think one of the drawbacks is that they don't really have an official solution, right? But I also think that that's kind of okay because everybody's solution might end up being a little bit different. And I don't think there's any one way to do something because they're not saying you must use React, you must use Tailwind, things like that. Everybody's solution is going to look different. There's more than one way. A beginner is going to write JavaScript in a much different way than somebody who is a lot more experienced. A junior developer is going to write CSS in a way that is much different than I would write it. So that's why they don't have official solutions. But I also know that that can be a little bit frustrating for junior developers if you're just starting out. So Kevin Powell does some front end mentor stuff. His channel is really good. Yeah, Kevin Powell's definitely he's at the top of his game for sure. So yeah, good job. Keep doing it. Keep working on this type of project-based learning, tutorials. So here's my philosophy on courses and tutorials. Courses introduce you to new ideas, new ways of doing things, new programming languages, the syntax, the rules, right? A tutorial answers a specific question. But the way you really, really learn is through doing projects. That's why I love Front End Mentor. So good job. Good job. Okay. Now on to the search. So let's just get the search functional and then we can sort out all the details around how the header actually looks responsively because there are some more details to sort out. But as long as we get the search working, that is all I care about. So, okay, so let's put in our body class for the search, which was search active. So if the search is active, it's going to slide out and it's not going to cover anything. Let me see here. You're welcome. You're welcome, Polyhype, and thank you for hanging out, subscribing to the channel. Give us a like if you haven't yet. I would appreciate it. And come back on Saturdays and Sundays and hang out with us. This is where we practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Whoops, right there. Okay. So yesterday I was thinking like, oh, I need to be able to have this search overlay these two things, and that's not the case. Really, if the search is active, then these buttons are not active. It's not that they're not active, it's just their visibility hidden, right? So let's use our search active to just hide those buttons. Now that I'm thinking clearly today. So button search display none, button search display block. And then we're going to do search active, button search, and open button. These are both going to be visibility hidden. There we go. Now let's get here's our form. Oh, it's because of this. So here's our close button. So let's style our close button, and then the rest of this is going to get itself smoothed out. So here's our close button, which is close search. And the form is already position relative. So we can absolutely position this button, and I'm going to position it just outside the form. So that is the close search. Position absolute. We'll say top 0, and then left. I'm going to do left -3 rems. There. Oh, and did I? No, our SVG is here. Oh, I think we need to. Does this just need some Z index? Oh, wrong button. Hang on. Wrong button. No, it's the right button. It's the button inside the form. Close search, button search. Oh, right here. That's why the visibility is hidden. So we just have to be more specific. Open search. We're only hiding the open. This is hiding both. There we go. Okay, now let's style this button. Let's do something fancy. Let's do something fancy. Let's do, we know it needs to be 48 by 48 to be accessible. So let's do padding of 1 rem, border radius 50%. We'll make it round, and then we'll give it a border of 2 pixels, solid. The background color will be solid. The color will be blue. And the background color will be transparent. And then the close search SVG, I'm going to give this a width of 1 rem, a height of 1 rem. This might be too small, but that's okay. We'll play with it. A stroke of blue. Yeah, that's too small. Wait. We'll do 1.5. Which means that our padding needs to be 0.75. It's kind of a small button to begin with, so. And then let's just shift it over a little bit. It has to be that big. It just does. It has to have that tap target. Unless, does the border have to signify what the tap target is? We can still give it a tap target. It doesn't have to have the border, right? So maybe the border radius is on the SVG instead. I usually do it on the button. Yeah, let's do that. I don't usually do it like this. But is that really going to, that's not really going to work with our, but you can give a background color to an SVG. So that should be okay. Buttons are already background transparent. Let's just make sure. No, but we already did that on the global style, so we don't even have to do that there. So let's give this a little bit of padding, not a lot, because it's going to shrink whatever we're doing. So maybe we'll give this 0.5 rems. Let's leave this the default 3. And then we'll have to give this a background color of transparent. Yeah, that's going to be better. And then we'll give this a border. We'll give this a border radius of 50%. And then we'll give this a border of 2 pixels, solid. Hang on, we're so close. I have to think about this. Maybe we do give this a little. We're very close. So right now, here's our button. I think if we just let's increase, we'll give this 1 rem of padding, which means this would be 1, 2, this would be 1 each. Too tiny, but we're on the right path here. And this would be 0.75. Yes. And so now we still have our tap target, which is 48 by 48, but we just have a smaller button. And I think that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. And we can point it up a little bit, like let's put it up a little bit, like in the corner. Top, we'll just go negative 1.5 rems. There we go. Oh, it's a little too much. There. No. There. That's up in the corner a little bit. We're going to have to play with it. Let's see if we can at least get a hover in here. We'll just do this. So now the hover is going to be, well, the hover should be still on the button, not the SVG, right? Because we want anybody whose cursor enters that tap target, the padding, to be able to trigger the SVG. So it'll be closed search, and then we'll focus. Hover. Active. So when we focus on the button, hover on the button, or the button is active, we're going to trigger these things on the SVG. So what are we going to trigger? We're going to trigger the stroke and the background color. So the stroke would be, instead of blue, it would be white. And then the background color, instead of transparent, would be blue. And then we're going to put a transition on the SVG. So the transition, we're going to transition the stroke, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out, and then we'll transition the background color. 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. There we go. And that transition happens right as we enter this button, the tap target. But we just have a much smaller button. And you know, it's mobile, right? So chances are excellent that nobody's ever going to see this, but you know, we like to make sure that everything is fully supported, even for desktop. Yeah, we really have some work to do to figure out how this combination of colors, our color palette, is going to work here, because it's not super cohesive. So if you are looking at this and this feels like a circus, I'm right there with you. We'll figure it out together. So now let's make sure that we're getting the transition that we want, right? So if we take out search active off the body, just like that. So I think we are going to be able to animate it in one direction. We're going to be able to animate it when it closes. I don't think we're going to be able to animate it we're going to be able to animate it when it opens or it's active. I don't think we are going to be able to animate it when it closes. But we didn't get this far yesterday. We're doing remarkably well. We are doing remarkably well today. So let's see if we can at least get this animation in here. So, this is it right here. And the transition, it's not transitioning. So, and I think it's because of the display block and display none. And we have to have those, either that or visibility hidden. But we didn't get this far yesterday, so let's try this with visibility again and see if we have any more luck today. So visibility hidden, because you can animate visibility. Visibility, visible, and then visibility, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. So, what's happening here? The reason so the space is still kind of being taken up here because it's not display none. If it was display none, yeah. So So I think this is the part that I need to put a little more thought into. I think that we're definitely headed in the right direction here with this search. Now that I have a clear head. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's happening in the chat. I can tell that there's a side conversation going on. Darshan is here. Hello, welcome. We're so happy to have you. I'm a newbie learning HTML and CSS. Is it possible for me to learn all these and where I can learn the things you code now? I think that what you're asking me is it possible for me to learn all these and where I can learn the things you code now? So first of all, it's possible for you to learn anything that you want to learn. So if the question is, anytime the question is it possible for me to learn that? It's always yes. Of course it is. Everything that I'm doing is completely vanilla. No frameworks, no libraries, no compilers. You don't need Node. There's no package managers. One of the reasons that I do that is because I want new developers to have an easy win. I want you guys to see that you can just get started and you don't have to worry about, should I do React? Should I learn Tailwind? Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just get started and get some easy wins where you can see your stuff in the browser, where you don't have to worry about all that other stuff and installing all that other stuff. I want you guys to get some easy wins. I want you to have the satisfaction of seeing your work in the browser to get you excited for the thousands of hours that you will spend learning how to do this stuff. So that's what we do here. We just have a basic vanilla approach because I think it's fair to say that all of the problem solving that I do here has nothing to do with a package manager or a library. It is the most basic, practical, foundational stuff that you could ever imagine when it comes to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's about accessibility and the user experience and the correct behavior. And I don't think that libraries and frameworks solve any of those problems. That's stuff that you have to learn just through project-based learning, right? And Darshan was asking if Malik was a real person. That's adorable. How did you become a mod? Yeah, Malik's a regular on the streams, and we help each other out. I help him out. The way I choose mods, or the way I ask people to be mods, are just people who are consistently showing up and engaging in the chat and asking thoughtful questions, things like that. That's how I ask people to be mods. And Malik has 100% been one of those people for months now. So, and yeah, let's see here. I'm checking to see if there are any questions for me, and then you guys can have your own conversation, which you probably don't need me interjecting in. So Darshan, I do want to participate in this though. Marshawn, are you employed or looking for a job? And here's Malik's response. The market is a battlefield, so I'm still looking. There are other mods that pop in or are current or past working developers. Yeah. But which, by the way, Rahul and I have had some casual conversations via the comments section. And I was a little worried about Rahul because he lives in Nepal and there's a lot happening in Nepal right now. They had a really a violent political uprising in September, and I was a little worried about him. I didn't know how he was doing. He checked in with me and said that he hadn't been here in a while just because he was really busy, but he hopes to come back and hang out soon. So I was just really happy to see that he was okay and doing okay. He is a senior level developer, very smart, leads his own team. Yeah, the market is wild right now. As I've been a developer for 12 years, I've never seen it be like this. When I was starting, I started learning in 2010, 2011, right in there. I got my first job as a developer in 2014, and it was so easy to get a job back then. It's really wild now how much has changed. So, and Malik says that I can say for looking for jobs, Angela has said that she is not a, yeah, I'm not a good source on getting a job, but when it comes to learning and improving, I'm a good mentor. Thank you. I have learned a lot since joining. Yeah, I really, really wish that I could be a better resource for getting jobs. I mean, I would love to get into the head of the current tech recruiter and tell you exactly what people are looking for. And here's the thing. I used to be a hiring manager. I led junior developers. I was in charge of all of the front end development at the University of St. Thomas here in St. Paul, Minnesota for 7 years. I had left that job in March earlier this year. Um, they were such a good employer. I learned so much there. I can only tell you what I would look for, which I think is a lot different than what other people look for. I read job descriptions on LinkedIn, and I just think it's wild, the expectations that are out there. It makes me feel like I don't know. I just think we are in a very sad state right now of what we're asking new developers to know how to do, especially junior developers. Um, you guys have to know so much before you even get your first job. And the whole point of getting your first job is to come in with this working knowledge and to learn as you go. There are so many things that you will never learn in a course or a tutorial or even doing a front end mentor project that you will just never learn until you are actually a working developer. And I think it's sad. I think it's really sad. So I wish that I could be a better resource for helping people get a job. My best advice is to do as much project based learning as you possibly can. Build your own website, build a portfolio. Sadly, you're going to have to be on Leet Code because I don't know what any of that crap has to do with being a front end developer in particular. The requirements are just crazy. I wish you guys all the best of luck. I really, really do. So, and Polyhype says, the market kind of scares me. I hope in the end learning front end is worth it and it gets me a job. I think it's worth it for what it's worth. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that it wasn't worth it. I think front end is like the coolest, the sexiest, the best. Obviously think front end is amazing. We need people like you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love being here. So, and Malik says, I am constantly frustrated, but I can say since you are in your freshman year, you're starting early, meeting more chances for internships and more chances for experience. Wish I started early. Um, okay. I have some thoughts about that. By the way, I love this conversation. Hang on. Give me just a moment. Malik, this comment is so interesting because I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, you're so young, you don't know. But in this case, I think I'm going to be one of these people. I mean, how old are you, Malik? Like 23? I mean, you got to be in your 20s, right? I didn't write my first line of code until I was 34 years old. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am right now. I'm going to let you do the math and, you'll figure it out for yourself eventually how old I am. I didn't write my first line of code until I was in my mid 30s. I didn't get my first job until I was almost 40. You're never too old. You are absolutely never too old. I do think it's good that you started early, but I also want to make sure that I'm capturing a group of people who are maybe looking for a second career because people with a little life experience, in my opinion, do really well as developers, because technology and development is about solving problems. And when you have a little life experience, it helps. Now, this is not me being critical of people who are young and who are starting early. I've met many junior developers who are excellent problem solvers and bring a very fresh perspective to the job. But we need diversity in technology. It can't just all be young people. Older adults on a second or a third career really bring a lot to development. Just like we need more women, we need more people of color, we just need diversity, because this is about solving problems, and we need different people with different experiences, different ranges of life experiences doing this work, because it is about solving problems. And if everybody is the same, then whose problems are we solving? That's what I'll say about that. So, okay. And Polyhype is asking, what did you look for in a junior developer? So I very rarely cared about the actual code. And here's why. As long as I could see that you understood the basics of doing code. And so what do I mean by the basics? I wanted to see that you could do like a JavaScript for loop. I wanted to see that you understood some basic CSS, that you could do some positioning, that you could build out a basic mockup any way that worked for you. It didn't even have to be vanilla. If you wanted to use a framework, I don't even care. I just want to see that you have the critical thinking and analytical skills to build out a basic mockup from scratch, because this is front-end development, so I need you to be able to do front-end work. So that was the first thing. But ultimately, I didn't care so much about the code. I wanted to see that you had a really good attitude. I wanted to see that you weren't afraid to jump in and do something even if you didn't know how to do it. I wanted to see that you were willing to be led. I've interviewed junior developers who were just like, they knew everything. They were like, yeah, I knew everything. I know how to do that. Oh yeah, no problem. And I'm like, does this person's never had a job before. How do they know everything? Do they want to be led? Do they want to be, do they want somebody? Are they going to listen to me? Right? Because if you've never had a job before, I promise you, you don't know everything. You just don't. And I need to make sure that I needed to have a sense that you're going to still respect me as a leader, because I don't have time to micromanage, but I also do kind of need you to listen to me sometimes. And so that's a hard thing to gauge. But once you hire some junior developers who never listen to you, never take you seriously, and think you're full of shit, it gets easier to figure out. So really, I'm just looking for somebody with a good attitude who wants to be led, but also can work independently and can solve problems. And so it's a very nuanced thing, what I was looking for. But when you know, you know. When you run into those types of people, you know. And when you run into people who know everything, and you just start to get a sense that they don't really want to be led, that's a little harder, because I was always hiring very specifically for a junior developer, and that's a lower salary. It implies that you are not going to get all of the responsibility of a more senior level developer, and I need to make sure that you're still going to listen to me every once in a while. That's what that means, that you're going to have some respect for the front end process. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Because here's the thing, with the right attitude, I actually don't care that much about your actual coding skills. As long as I know that you can be led, I can teach you what you need to know. I just need to know that you understand the basics, that you have the critical thinking skills, and that you can follow a process, and that you have the analytical skills to do the work in general. So Polyhype says, I'm 34 and I feel kind of behind sometimes, but I keep pushing. Oh, 34 is a gift. 34 is an absolute gift. I don't think you're behind at all. I think that that is the prime age. You've got a little life experience, but you are still young. You are still very young, my friend. Keep going, keep pushing. The job market right now is crazy, but here's what I've learned from my years on this planet is everything is a cycle. Nothing lasts forever. Everything's a cycle. So just keep pushing. The fact that you are in the chat of a front-end developer who live streams to 7 people every Saturday and Sunday asking these types of questions, it speaks volumes about where you're at in your life, where you're at emotionally and mentally, and that you are serious about doing this. So please keep going. We need people like you. We do. And Malik says, yeah, 20s. And I still wish I worked on my skills at the start of my college career instead of pretty much at the end. Malik, listen, you are, for everybody listening to me right now, you are exactly where you're supposed to be, okay? I'm where I'm supposed to be. You are where you're supposed to be. Just keep moving forward, okay? Just keep moving forward. The fact that you are even here listening to someone like me says everything that I need to know about you. We need you. Keep moving forward. So, all right. Welcome. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Let's keep working. Let's keep working on this search. We're having such a nice day. So much better than yesterday. So much better than yesterday. Okay. We love you too, Polyhype. We love you too. So, okay. So how are we going to deal with this? I know, I was just thinking the same thing, Malik. I was like, I'm going to get some great shorts out of this. Because I am, after all, in my shorts era. So, okay, I kind of want to figure out what we're going to do. You can't animate. You can't animate. But maybe if it's, you can't animate display block and display none. But you can animate visible. And I'm trying to avoid a bunch of absolute positioning. Okay, so maybe what we do is we animate the width of the form. Maybe that's what we do. So we can stick with display none and display block because the transition but it's only going to work in one direction because display block and display none is instant. So we can display block when the search is active and that will be instant, but then we can animate the width of the form itself, although that animation is going to go, the width is going to go from left to right, but if we're transitioning, I think we can animate the width of the form, but that's only when it opens, not when it closes. Let's try that. I'm really trying to avoid a bunch of absolute positioning. Because that just feels so messy to me. I just don't feel like doing that. Okay, so here's our form. So here's our search form. So maybe the width is 0. Well, first of all, what does that even look like? Well, if the width is 0, it doesn't, I don't think it matters. We took out visibility. So width, 300 milliseconds, is in out. And then yeah. So maybe it's better to just do some JavaScript with a set timeout on the display block. How is there not a CSS solution for this? So here's the nav container. Here's the nav wrap. I mean, okay, let's just, the CSS solution is, oh, that didn't work because it didn't work because I did the width on the same thing as the display none. That's why that didn't work. So the input, we have to do it on the input. Input type search. Okay, so this would be the search form. I'm going to try one more thing. Search form input with 100%. Whoops. With 100%. Search active. Search form input. Oh, stop. So that means this transition is not, kind of pointless. So this would be 0. So this would be with the 100%, and then this would be transition, the width, yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna, all right, I think it'll be okay because this container, I mean, listen, we're already using fixed positioning for the nav. So this container is pretty small. Here's the wrap. Here's the form. And okay. You win. You win. So here's nav container wrap. We'll make this position relative. which means we have to change the search form to position absolute, but that's fine because the search form was position relative for the button. And then the button was relative to the form, but it cascades. So the button will still be relative to the form, even with this being position absolute. So with this being position absolute, well, I think I'm going to change this though inside the media query. So we'll change this here to position absolute. So we'll wait until we're inside the media query. And then we're going to say right right, I think we could just do negative 100%. We don't have to worry about display none. We can go back to using visibility. Top 0. And then I think the translate will still, so then this would be, we would want this to be 0 as our starting point. We're going to move to the left, which is a negative number. And if it's 200, so we'll do negative 200 pixels because we're going in the opposite direction. I'm going to take out this width for now. So we're still going to animate the translate. You can see it's a little off kilter. That's fine. We can deal with that. We're not really getting the animation though, are we? Oh, transform, that's why. There we go. So it animates when it opens. It's not animating when it closes. It's because we need the visibility. Okay, we did it. We figured this out. Visibility, 300 milliseconds, ease in out. So I think I was fighting the positioning. There we go. Oops. All right. So let's get this repositioned. So we just need to make sure we're just going to temporarily take those out. And now let's just get this repositioned so it really does cover these up because there's that kind of these are appearing immediately while this is animating. But we did it. We figured it out. We solved it. We did it. So I think we just, so it's width 200 pixels, max width 100%. Yeah, we can take off that max width. Oh, I think we had, that max width on there for the header. That's okay. One thing at a time. Okay, let's get this positioned now. So it's 200 pixels wide. And Rahul is here. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry, I thought I was on a different screen. How are you doing? I was just talking about you. I let everyone know that I had heard from you. We were having a very casual comment. A casual conversation in the comments. I hope you're doing okay. So this is 200 pixels wide. Here's our wrap. We probably just need to change. We just need to get the math right on how we're hiding this. So left, right, right. Honestly, we're probably better off just saying left 100%. Doesn't that just put it right there? There we go. Right over the edge. But we're still transitioning the transform, which is really the right way to do that. Yeah, that's, now the math is mathing. And so let's push this down. Probably what we want to do is we want to put this exactly in the middle of the container. And the best way to do that is to say top 50%. So then we'll do a translate for X and Y. So for X, it's 0. And for Y, it's negative 50%. And that should put it right in the middle. Ooh. Hang on. Oh, it doesn't like that. Why don't you like that? Oh, you don't like that because... I have to update this too. We'll just keep this the same. So we're not really transitioning the second value. There we go. So now it's right in the middle, covering up those buttons, but we just need to make the input a little bit bigger. We should probably just make this padding 1 rem. There we go. Pretty close. We really just want to cover up that button a little bit. So maybe the top is 50%, maybe It's 50% minus 1 pixel. Oh, I think it just needs a little more padding. There we go. That covers it up. And then let's make sure when we translate that maybe instead of 200 pixels, because it's right up against the edge, since we have, well, let's say that we're going to have a half of rem of padding. That would be 0.8. Or if it was a full rem, it would be 216. Let's do a half. So we're translating 208. Yeah, this is a really fussy, but considering all of the other things that I've tried, it works, it makes sense. Where are we here? Well, this is exactly the effect that I wanted. It's not pretty though. It needs, stylistically, it definitely needs some improvement, doesn't it? But this is working exactly the way I wanted it to. So let's take out the search and let's make sure that with the navigation and the search hidden, let's make sure that when you tab through, you don't enter into the navigation or the search if it's not supposed to be. So I'll do a fresh refresh, and then I'll tab. Perfect. Because though the navigation and the search should not be accessible by a screen reader or by focus or keyboard if you're tabbing through, unless somebody specifically clicks on the buttons to expose either of those things. So I think what we should do today, let's go ahead and style our second icon. Let's see if we can, look how much better this looks. Let's fine tune the logo in proportion to the icons. And then next weekend on Saturday, we'll write our JavaScript and we'll close the loop on the header. And then the header will be done. Yeah, the header will be done. I'm very happy with this though. I'm very happy with this though. And Rahul says, I'm okay, just been busy with multiple projects. Love that you are so consistent with channel uploads. Missing food vlogs, by the way. Well, I have to tell you, I would do more vlogging, but I think you're the only one who watches them. Maybe you and Malik are the only two people who watch them. I don't get a lot of views, and I am sort of at the stage in my channel where I need to be kind of strategic with what I decide to upload, because I'm definitely focused on growth right now. I want growth. I want views. I want watch time hours. I want subscribers, certainly. So I'm kind of taking a step back from vlogging type content, I think, until I have just a slightly bigger audience, because I need the ROI. I need the return on the return on investment, the investment being my time and my energy. So I'm not saying that I will never do those things. I'm just saying that I'm trying to be a little more strategic about what I put my time and energy into. And I have so many ideas for deployment content. I want to start leaning into more of maybe like essay type content, like not SA, that like essay, ESSAY, essays. So I don't know why I felt like I had to make that distinction. I don't think anybody was thinking that. So, but I guess I just did. So, okay, let's style our second button here. And then let's just sort of fine tune. Yeah, let's fine tune here because we have so much room here. We can definitely clamp this, but I have some other ideas on how we can control the size of this. This does not need to start shrinking until about here, right? Or until those buttons actually get right up next to it. So I think I have a strategy for that. But let's style this button first. And then this day will be highly successful. This was a good day. I'm so pleased. So that is our open search button, which is styled a lot different from our close search button. So here's our closed search. Yeah, so I think open search is going to be styled almost exactly like exactly like this, right? Do we need a whole separate set of styles for this? It makes me think that just for the sake of styling, we could add, oh, I don't want to add menu button to this though, because I really rely on menu button when it comes to the JavaScript. So we are going to duplicate the styles, and that is just fine. Just have to have a good reason for why you're doing it, right? So I'm just going to take this. Yeah, we definitely need a good strategy for styling. I'm going to work on that this week. What if we just made them round? I mean, what do you expect when you leave it up to the developers? If you don't give the developers any styles, you get what you get and you live with it. You get what you get, okay? If you want to leave it up to me, you get what you get. If you don't like it, then you better give me the styles that you want it to be. But we'll work on this. Okay, so let's make sure. I think we can just do an extra media query here because we have so much room, right? This navigation pops into mobile at 1024, and I bet that we can keep this logo the same size till at least 600 pixels. Oh, thank you. Hope the channel gets the growth with the amount of efforts you are putting in. You deserve it. I thank you. I appreciate that. I think it will. It's work, right? Just like everything else, it's all work. Whoops. Okay. So where's our logo? Yeah, I think we'll get monetized eventually. I'm pretty close. So it's it takes as long as it takes, right? It takes as long as it takes. Okay. So here's where our SVG, we're clamping our SVG immediately. So how much you want to bet? Well, so first of all, if it's 300 pixels wide, how big is it? How tall is it? So this is, so that's 185. So here's our default size, 300 pixels. At 1024, now we've shrunken down to, let's see what it is at exactly 1024. It's 1023. So that's 205 by 70, we'll say. So for desktop, let's stick with 300 pixels with a max width of 100%. Height auto. That makes it responsive. Then on mobile at 1024, let's change it to height. Well, I don't even think we have to do that. Let's just change it to width. What do we say? We'll say width, we'll just drop it down to 200 pixels. So now we have plenty of room, right? Plenty of room. And it doesn't want to pop onto the second line till about 350, which is excellent. So how about at 400, we'll do another media query for 400 pixels, then we'll clamp the width. At media, max width, 400 pixels. So we'll say clamp. 75 pixels. So let me attempt to get scientific here. If our minimum is 75, that's a minimum of 4.6875 rems. And rems and VW is this are not the same thing. VW is usually higher. Or is it lower? Let's try 5 VW. And then the starting width is 200. I think that's 2. has to be a lot bigger. Yeah, we're getting close. That value has to be a lot bigger. There, look at that. We're getting so close. We're getting very close. So maybe... Yeah, that might be it right there. That gets us down to like 275. I wish it was a smudge smoother. You know what we can do though? We can transition the width. But if we go too high, let's do 45. And then, so we don't have that jump, let's just put a transition on the width. Yeah. So transition width, 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. Yes. Oh, it's putting a delay on the width. That's why it's doing that. So maybe, I don't know. I just want to cover up that jump a little bit, even though nobody ever does, no person is ever going to do this. It's only the developers who do this. You know what? We're going to skip the transition because I need it to function a lot better than that. And that little jump is fine. And it's not even that noticeable unless you're going slow. Look at that. Yeah, that looks great. Should we see what this actually looks like on a mobile device? Is it even going to look decent at all on a mobile device? No, it's not. Well, let me hang on. I'm going to push this up. Let's at least get this pushed up to our GitHub page. Maybe it'll, I don't know how it's going to look on my phone. Not really sure. Responsive styles. All right, let's give that a minute to percolate. Where is my, hang on one second. I'm going to go find the thing. Yeah, 1 second. All right, let me see here. Let me get... Yep, we're good. All right. I'll see if there's how this actually looks on a mobile device. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, let me show you. All right. It looks great. Obviously nothing else is responsive. I don't know. You can't see the box shadow. I mean, it's coming through. It's a little blown out. It is coming through on my phone. You can't see it there. But it never comes through on OBS. Like OBS is not good at like the subtle grays, the subtle things like that when I'm sharing my phone, but it is there. Yeah, I'm very happy with this. I think we came up with a terrific solution for the header. We have a nice big clear logo. We kept the extras sign in and register up at the top. I don't hate the round buttons, but maybe we'll just make those, maybe the hover states can just be, have a background color. Maybe we'll go back to a traditional, just plain buttons next week. And we'll get the JavaScript wired up next week as well. I'm very happy with how this went. So yeah, headers take a long time. Sometimes they just take a long time. It's just the way it is. So it was worth it. It was painful, but it was worth it. I think also I would like to do an intersection observer like we did last time, where we have that scroll point. So on scroll, maybe we could hide that top part. Yeah, maybe. I do think that on desktop, I do kind of think on desktop we're going to have to tighten up this header, right? I actually think on desktop what we should do is we should hide this top gray bar and the logo and just have a sticky navigation and search. I think that that's going to be the best way to deal with that. So let's put that on our to-do list. But next weekend, for sure, we're going to get our if we still have to finish the JavaScript next weekend, we might as well put in the intersection observer next weekend too, and just get all the scroll stuff taken care of. So there's probably another day of working with this header ahead of us. And then let's say by Sunday next weekend, we can start to get this grid worked on, because the overall style of this, well, I don't really have it pulled up. The overall style of this entire thing is not that complicated. It's very straightforward. Here's our screenshot. It's just not that complicated. We have a slider, we have a video file, we have an audio file. We're not using an API, so this load more button is purely decorative. Everything else is just styling. So, I mean, that's okay. These are older designs. They're like 6, 7, 8 years old. And most of them don't come with a mobile view, which means it's totally up to us. And you know, we're here for it. We can do it. We can get it done, right? Yeah. So, with that being said, I guess that's it. Thank you to everybody who hung out with me today. Thank you to everybody who engaged in the chat. Have a great rest of your week wherever you are. And come back next Saturday. We'll get this header wrapped up once and for all. Like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We would love to have you. I'm here pretty much every Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, for the most part, we just practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Polyhype. Thank you. Yeah, we had a lot of new people in the chat today. So we had Malik was our mod. Rahul made an appearance. Polyhype was here. Darshan was here. I think no one was here for a little bit. Yeah, we had some great conversations in the chat. I really appreciate that. So, okay, have a great rest of your week wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.